I'm staying in a really nice London hotel. I came down from my home in Yorkshire last night to go to what used to be the Orange is now the Bailey's Prize for Women's Fiction party. So I've had a great evening, very partyish, always really, really interesting women, lots of writers that I know and see very seldom. So that was really, really nice. And on the way down on the train, I got to one of the key moments in writing the novel, which is that I've finished the first draft. I haven't actually written the very, very last scene because I want to do that when I'm at home, very, very quiet with all my books at my side, because the end of the novel is of importance, probably the greatest importance. The only other really, really important bit is the beginning of the novel. So those two scenes have really got to say everything that you want to say. If you don't get them right, you might as well neither begin nor end. So I haven't, it's finished in first draft except for the final scene. So I've started at the beginning again. And this time I'm writing with the awareness of what the novel's about. So I've got the story, I've got the narrative of the events, and now I have in my mind as I'm writing an awareness of what I'm really trying to do. And I think I'm going to do something completely different with this novel. It's pushing the boundaries really of what I've always done, but what I think I'm going to do is to actually cut out a lot of the historical event, a lot of the research which I spent so much time and trouble getting right. I think I'm going to really make it more of a novel about the relationships, which are fictional, and the psychology, which is of course fictional, and the feelings of the people, which is of course fictional, and the history is going to be the background to it rather than the foreground. All historical novels make an often unconscious choice between how much history they have and how much fiction they have, and that depends entirely on the author's preferences and the author's love of history or love of writing or what there is available. And this one, there's plenty of event available, there's plenty of history available, and I don't want to write a novel which is too bogged down in the historical record. I want to write a novel which describes a Margaret Tudor. It won't be the only Margaret Tudor you can imagine, but I hope it will be very close to the real Margaret Tudor that was. And I hope, and this I ought to be able to achieve, that it will be a really convincing, inspiring, interesting version of my Margaret Tudor.
I'm walking in the Lavada of Madeira, these lovely little irrigation channels which have beside them single track paths that go all over the island. I've just had the loveliest time. And also I'm here on holiday, but of course I've brought my laptop and I've completed draft 4 of the book that is currently being called Three Sisters, Three Queens, referring to Margaret Tudor, Mary Tudor and Catherine of Aragon. This draft has been very much making sure that the relationship between the three girls is really prominent. And then I realised that by doing that, I had rather missed the relationship between, not missed, but that I needed more about Archibald, Earl of Angus, Margaret Tudor's second husband, who was such a terrible husband and such a dangerous enemy. So I've been working on that as well, and in the middle of all of that I got a phone call from my English editor who's read draft 3 and she was thrilled about it. So that's really, really nice to get when you're still rewriting, real endorsement from an editor.
This is rather funny. I'm sitting in the sitting room of my home in Yorkshire and I'm working on a new book. That's because the copy editor has Three Sisters, Three Queens, and she's going to have it for about 6 weeks, and in which time I both want and I probably should get on with the book that's going to be the next book. If I want it to be published in 18 months' time, I need to start thinking about it now. And it's a pleasure to think about it. It's going to be about Jane Grey and her sisters, so I'll have sisters yet again. But they're a very different family, and it's a very different story, of course. The three
Sisters Three Queens is with the copy editor. She really likes it. The work's going well. We've almost agreed a jacket. We've started thinking about the extra material, the maps and the diagrams and the things that'll be added to it. I think it's going to be a really good book. And it just struck me as funny that not many people would expect you perhaps to be working on two books simultaneously, but that's what I do, and it's a pleasure to do it. Hi, I'm in London. This is the last of this little diary because it's practically publication day. This year it's going to be a global publication. We're going out on the same day for the first edition worldwide, which is really exciting. It makes it much more exciting, but of course it means that all of the media and all of the interviews that I'm going to be doing, everybody wants a piece at the same time. So I'm busy, but it's really, really nice, and I'm really pleased with the book. I'm really pleased with the jacket that we ended up with, and all of the work and the research that's gone into it really feels that what I'm bringing this time is a really powerful, worthwhile story of a powerful, interesting woman. And I'm glad to put Margaret Tudor on the historical record in a novel, in a way that she's not been seen before. Of course, I'm researching and thinking about the next novel, and that's going very, very well. I'm about 2/3 of the way through the first draft. So the journey begins again with another character, and that's what the life is like, and that's why I love it.